Well, good afternoon. I am Arthur Morris, Birds is Art. And one thing's for sure, I can teach you to make better images of birds. If you like bird photography, you're in the right place. I have one opening on the first Homer trip. That could be you. I'm in my Airbnb on Lido Boulevard in Lido Beach, New York, 3 minutes from Nickerson Beach. And I'll leave a link below. There's openings on 2 more trips. And you might want to consider joining us. Just great, great stuff. So I went out this morning on a scouting walk. I walked about 3 miles. And I brought my Sony 300mm f2.8, the 1.4 teleconverter, and the A9 III. I left my A1 and my 600 and my 2X in the car and my tripod. And I had quite a bit of fun. So here's a flight shot over the colony of a common tern. And then the next one way better with the open bill and the wings a little more spread, breaking for a landing. Then I walked along the beach, and for some reason, most of the oyster catcher families were a pain. They didn't like me. But I found one single juvenile bird. You see the beautiful feather edgings on the upper parts and the black tip to the bill. And I worked him for about an hour, mostly sitting on my butt. Not a great picture. I took you to show you what not to do. I don't hate this one because I positioned him nicely between all the seaweed piles. We can see his feet. But I much more wanted to get him on the sand. This one I'm shooting from my knee, so I'm shooting down a little bit. And the next one I put the camera between my heels. Join me and we'll teach you how to do that with any lens. I've shot the 1200mm off my heels or my toes. Then a juvenile common tern flew by, made 2 nice flights. This is out of a series of about 100 on a single pass. A9 III, 120 frames per second, incredible autofocus. And I should mention that these are about 61 or 62 keepers out of 6,206 images. I cherry-picked the best ones. It took me only about 20 minutes to edit in Photo Mechanic. More on the baby oyster catcher. This one's a little too big in the frame, and by having the lens on my heels, sort of hazed out the feet. So I don't love this. And he's a little too big in the frame. I went back to my knee, sort of nicer. Then he started this double overhead wing stretch. I was getting this stuff in the background. I didn't like it. It's hard. It's a pain to remove it. And this one, easy. Whoops. Where'd we go? This one, this nice. And this, though I'm not a fan of this stuff still, but easy to expand canvas and add sky to this one. Then when he turned around, the coolest thing about the A9 III, the bird eye autofocus kills the A1. Stuff like this and double overhead wing stretches, it just nails the eye. So this may make a nice vertical and help me get rid of the 2 dark things. It's nice to show an oyster catcher looking right down the lens barrel. You see that the bill is laterally flattened so it can get into the clams and the mussels. And the oysters, no oysters on the open beaches. And then he's calling. There's a plus. I don't love that the bill tip is sort of lost in his shoulder of his right wing. Then when I took a walk, I saw about 7 or 8 juvenile piping plovers. So even with the 24 megapixels, this will make a decent photograph. Clean this up. And the next one, and you see this is a juvenile, the nice little edge feathers on the head, and you see the worn coverts. But with the beautiful pattern, obviously a juvenile. Then there were 2 oyster catcher chicks about 2 weeks old. And this adult oyster catcher, not the parent, flew in and tried to kill it. or at least attack it. So here we go. Knocked it on its butt. And there's the little one going, you can knock me down, but you can't kill me. And he did get away. Hit Z to get out of there. Then he climbed up on a little sand hill. That'll make a nice crop from here to a horizontal. And then another attack. Oh God, shoot the operator, whoever was holding that camera. Could not get the whole thing in the middle of the frame. And then he was just on a run for his life. Now, it would be great here if I got down on the ground and were lower, but then as he runs, he'd be out of range. So I was moving along, almost running with him. And then I went to the tern colony, common tern chick. I don't like this piece of wood here, but I sort of like the upper rule of thirds. And this one, you know, I write on the blog all the time that being 78 years old, my reflexes aren't that fast anymore, and fine motor control and strength. And this is a shame. It's not sharp because it wasn't in the middle of the frame, but if I had kept it in the middle of the frame, that spread tail could have been spectacular. This guy had a nest about 20 feet in front of us, and I fired off a few too big in the frame shots. And again, I don't love the bill intersecting with the foot, and I don't like the band either. But here's another young common tern. It's got his rear hind cap, and real easy to add a fraction on the wingtips there. And then another frame, the straight glide, and I'll probably crop this here and here, following my suggestion. Cut, don't clip, but it would be possible to rebuild these, but it would take some work. Shooting through the vegetation, that's a spearing or northern silversides. Atlantic silversides is the fish. And another one a little more in the clear. And one in flight. Again, you can see here, or you can see here if I pull this out, 420 millimeters, 300-8, and the teleconverter. And most of the time I was shooting at a 4,000th of a second for flight at f4 at a high ISO, but the pictures look great. Like this one, chick begging. Actually, it's not its parent, it's screaming, give me that fish. And another one incoming, so A93, if you use my link to buy one, you get my guide, the email guide with all my settings, what autofocus to use. And I sort of like this one. It's got the best head angle. Next one, head angle, not quite as good, but it's got the raised foot. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, bird's head is turned slightly towards us, and here it's sort of square to the back of the camera. This is more ideal for me. Then good to include some green. Bill open, even better. Hard to pick between the two, but I'll do that someday. Another nice one. And this series I love. I kept these two out of about 25, and I think I like this one best with the wings crossing and razor sharp on the face. Oh, I kept 3. And, you know, people see this and they go, oh, the A93 sucks. And I look in the mirror and say, man, I screwed that up. I didn't get on the bird. I didn't pre-focus. So I don't blame the camera ever. They're so amazing. Another decent one coming in, even better. And losing these guys with the remove tool. 2 seconds, you could use the patch tool, use content to wear fill, do a nice crop from here, a beautiful landing shot. And all of those Photoshop tools are explained in Digital Basics 2, the PDF, and in the video series, Digital Basics 3. Beautiful series of the young bird landing. Oh, the young ones are so hard to get in flight. And I'll lose this thing and crop to get rid of the board. And this is not the sharpest one in the world. Pretty good on the eye, but he's so close. Not much depth of field at f4. And then taking flight, let's see this one. This one is razor. Another one, and again, easy to add this canvas at the top because there's no texture involved. And this is a spectacular pose fitting him in the frame, but it's focused on the fish, not on the bird. So what I can do is come here where I've clipped it. Two options with this one. I can do a tight crop like this, pretty much like that, or I can make a quick mask of the face and bring the face here and make it appear sharp. Haven't decided yet. Another nice one. A little bit of clip, and then the perfect one, razor sharp. And again, these are all from long series of 30, 40, 50, 60 images for every takeoff. This one I love. The only negative is this dark thing here. That'll go away easily. The remove tool shines when you have stuff against the edges. And I like this one better. This one avoids the problem here, though. One board too many there, but we can lose that. And that's the end of the show. So I will say, think about joining me in the next 2-3 weeks. Or if you want to set up a private session, we can do that. Make some great pictures. Love you much. Have fun. Be safe. Bye-bye.